What's a new crew if you're new? My name's Cassandra. Today we are doing what I have been waiting all winter long for, and that is finally getting some veggie starts in the ground. Today we are not going crazy. We're taking things rather slow. It's kind of a process here, but we are putting in some of our cucumbers that we started, a couple different varieties of those, and we're planting those on the cattle panels this year, which is something new for me. We are also getting a ton of seeds in the ground, making some progress, and checking some things off of the list by getting all of these things into the ground, heading onto our way of planting a year's worth of food for our large family. So come along.
What's new, crew? If you're new, my name's Cassandra. Today we are hanging out outside. I have all of these plants here we've been working on hardening off over the last week or so, and I'm ready to start putting some of these in the ground today. I don't have any of the spots prepped where our tomatoes are gonna go. Joe's gonna help me with that at some point throughout the week here when he's done with work one evening. We'll get all that prepped and the tomatoes in the ground, but I still have really cold temperatures. Today is supposed to be our last frost date for the spring. However, we still have some temperatures that are just really close to that 38, 36 degrees at night. It's still getting pretty cold. So I don't want to put any of my tomatoes in, but I do have a lot of cucumbers that are looking really big, really great, and they really need to get in the ground. So I want to put those in the ground today. I also have a couple zucchini I might put in the ground today in some raised beds, and then I have one more raised bed I need to get prepped. And I'm behind the 8 ball because this bed is supposed to be full of all of my carrots that I still don't have in the ground. So I need to get it prepped and ready. I've just been avoiding it because it's the largest bed. It was the potato bed last year, so it needs to be fluffed really well with the rake and push all the dirt around, and it's just not a task I'm looking forward to doing. But I think today is going to be the day. I'm just going to slowly work on those things today, and if I get carrot seeds in the ground, I will just be absolutely ecstatic. We have some rain coming in later this week, so I'd like to just get some of these plants in the ground before the rain, get everything ready to go, and then that way they'll get all that great rainfall and hopefully get a really nice start into the beginning of the season. Plus, kind of like a race against time right now with what is going to come first: warm weather so that I can get as many starts in the ground as possible, or baby girl. So we're gonna see what we're just gonna see what happens. At this point, it's just a waiting game, and we're kind of waiting it out, seeing what happens. So who knows? So let's see what we can get done today. Those are kind of all of the goals I have going on in my head. Plus, I'd really like to make a lasagna for dinner tonight, so that's kind of also on my list to do. Also, our sub pump went out over the weekend, which was Mother's Day weekend, and we just got it fixed. So I had a lot of dishes I was behind on and a lot of laundry I was behind on that we're rotating through the day too. So today's a busy one. Let's just see what happens. I want to plant all of these cucumbers. These are two different kinds, Crazy Eights and Munchers, along one edge of the cattle panel here. I might do it on the other side too. We'll just see how life goes.
I opted to put these on the cattle panel this year, or on our arched trellises here, because last year I put peas here and some flowers and things, and the deer ate them right down. It was a constant struggle. This is not fenced, and the reality is I don't think that this area is going to be fenced this year either. So I wanted to plant something here that they are not going to really care about getting into. So my plan is to put cucumbers on this side and then put either pumpkins or melons on the other side, something that is viney and kind of pokey, and when if they decide they want to try it, it's not going to be good and they're going to leave it alone. That's kind of my plan for this area.
I got almost all of my cucumbers in. I have another like 4-pack of cucumbers that I started. However, I think I'm going to save those. I have a ton of extra tomato starts this year. My brother-in-law is going to come get some, and then I told my neighbor I'd bring some to her as well. She's always bringing me goodies. My table, all those starts that you guys saw, a ton of that stuff is from her. She'll drop off her extra things or patches that she's thinning out, and she's always gifting me with things, so I will gladly gift her some tomato plants. But I have this back bed here. This is last year's potato bed. I would really like to get that flattened out today. I'm going to take my time. I am having a lot of prodromal labor contractions, which are just, they're real contractions, but they lead to nowhere. It's like false labor, but it doesn't make them any less uncomfortable or the pressure any less desirable. So I'm gonna take my time and go slow, and we'll see what happens. I definitely have to get a sprinkler over here today. We have onions and potatoes in these front beds that you just watched me plant cucumbers in, and I have strawberries and asparagus in this back bed here that we've been working on over the last couple weeks. And I've been hand watering these. I hand watered them this morning, and it is just so dry. These onions are struggling so bad, and I don't want them to die. I do not want to have to replant them. So once I get this bed flattened out and hopefully some carrot seeds in it, and I'm really tempted to chaos garden the cucumber or the carrot seeds in that bed today, but we'll see how that ends up working out. I need to get a sprinkler out here, and we need to get these watered. It's also the heat of the day, so I really shouldn't be planting or watering, but it's only gonna get worse. We went from like 55 degrees as a daily average to like almost 80 degrees as a daily average literally overnight. So everything that we had in the ground, like these onions, just got totally shocked, and they've been struggling. So I'm hoping that I can get these taken care of today. All right, so I've got all of my seeds here. The bed's prepped to the best of my ability for right now. I'm just not going to worry about it too much. The soil is definitely a little bit more compacted than I would like for planting carrots. However, it just is what it is, and I don't think if I waited for my husband to get home and had him kind of till this up with the rake or with a hoe or something, it would really get much better. So I'm just gonna hope that it feels really compacted because it's just really dry. I have not watered that bed once this season because there's nothing in it, and it hasn't rained. So it's just really dry, and I think just kind of really tight in there. So I'm hoping once we get the seeds in the ground, we get it watered and stuff, it'll kind of absorb and the soil will fluff up and come back to life a little bit here. So I've got a whole bunch of carrots here, some from M.I. Gardner, some from Baker's Creek, and some just from like Walmart or Menards or wherever I bought them from. So lots of different carrots here. I also have some old seed we're going to use up. This is my favorite lettuce. It's the Paris Island romaine lettuce. This is from M.I. Gardner. Love it. I've planted this a couple years in a row. It does really well. It doesn't bolt super fast, at least in my zone. A couple more different types of spinach and lettuces. I brought out some mammoth basil we'll put in this bed, as well as my older girls wanted me to put out their zinnia seeds right on the edge here of this bed so that they can come out and enjoy them and pick them and do what they need. So I have their 2 zinnias that they picked. Well, I got them this year for their Easter baskets, and then these are some zinnia seeds that they saved from last year that we're gonna put in the bed as well, from some of their favorite flower combinations that came up last year. So let's get going, shall we?
Wanted to go ahead and fluff each individual area just one more time before I put seeds in. And like I said, this bed specifically is probably the worst bed that we had over the last year, just because it did have potatoes in it last year, so it got dug up really bad and there were huge divots in it. So this is just the best it's going to be for this year, and I am okay with that. Whatever ends up happening ends up happening. If I need to, I do have a local farm that I can buy like a 50-pound bag of carrots from, and it'll it'll be okay. So I'm not super duper worried about it. I do have a plan B if plan A does not work. But you can see Cleo and myself here planted a ton of different varieties of lettuces and spinach and things like that. Um, this is probably going to be like my second succession, quote unquote, of lettuces, because I will get some lettuce starts from my local Amish shop. They sell them for $1 for 4 of them. I'll get a couple of those, and that'll be what I eat off of right away. And then this will be stuff kind of for round 2.
Everything is now in the ground, which is a big accomplishment for today. I ended up putting 3 of my carrot packets in rows, and the last 2 I kind of chaos gardened in a big section of this raised bed. I want to see which ones grow better, if the chaos garden method works better for having, like, saving me time having to go back and thin carrots later on. I'm just curious. So these like St. Valley carrots, these are the ones we chaos gardened because they're supposed to be like a thin, easy kind of snacking carrot, so the kids will be pulling those out throughout the summer to snack on them anyways. So I want to see how that. So the last thing I really need to do is get a sprinkler over here and hook it up and give everything a good drink, and I'm feeling very happy with what we were able to accomplish out here today. I do have other things that need to go on the ground today, but I will wait until Joe gets home and he will help me kind of find where all of those things are going to go, because he had an opinion on some of those things, because most of them are perennial items. So I don't want to put those in the ground and put them somewhere he has a different envision for, because he's the one that really takes care of all of that stuff when it comes to the orchard and placement and things. So I want to make sure I'm putting things where he wants them. So I'll just wait to do that later in the day. The thing that's really exciting is not only are all the berries that we planted last year starting to kind of come back to life, but we've been starting to see all these little canes that they're shooting up. And having only put these in the ground last year, I was not expecting to have more little canes popping up just so quickly, and they're everywhere. They're on a handful of different varieties of the raspberries that we planted last year. Some of them are shooting up more canes than others, which would make sense just variety wise, but everything is really starting to come to life in the orchard. The trees are blooming, the berries are starting to bloom as well. Just lots of flowers happening, and it's cool to just kind of see. Just because everything is new, this is our first real chance to watch things kind of have a full season, going through winter and then coming back for the summer. So I am out here to grab a sprinkler so we can get that over by the raised beds, because everything is still over here from last year. So